So we were trying to sort out this energy. I had said in the last reading that there was some energies that were alone, that I wanted to pick up on, but the last reading was so good about kind of encompassing all that energies that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do any more, energies that were alone. And so I was kind of like, as I was picking up the cards and starting to move them around a little bit, I was like, the energy is alone, yes. And I wasn't exactly sure because I had already decided I was going to put the cards on the table and like figure out what was going on. And then this popped out of the center of the deck, and it's the same card that started the last reading. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this energy is alone. The last energy had just spent its first night alone. Like they had either just had a divorce and they just spent their first night alone, in their new place, or they had a breakup or a separation. They just spent the first night alone, and they were kind of dealing with the fallout of that. To the point where they were sort of kind of looking at what they had, but also truly looking at what they were missing, and kind of feeling some sort of way about it, right? This energy, I'm thinking, is similar in the way where it's been up all night. The energy was, I don't know if I've said that, but the last one, the energy was up all night. It was part of the catalyst for the thing that was making them feel the way they were. Because they couldn't even really go to sleep. Like they weren't allowed to really enjoy what they wanted, or what they had, because they had realized that they weren't fully, they hadn't really thought about the whole thing. They got a lot of the stuff that they wanted, but it was the material stuff. They forgot to kind of wish for love. Like they knew they didn't have it. That, like I said, that's the first card that started out in their reading. But when they realized, it would make this situation better, and they realized that they were alone, and they absolutely did not like that, and responded in a couple, a few different ways, in a sort of, maddening cycle. In this particular situation, I do see a little bit of that. I see us kind of sitting around going, well, that sucked. Not necessarily in that. We're actually sitting around. Okay, so the other person had gone to bed early. And they were they had for a split second, an idea of, oh, I wish this was happening. And then it kind of ruined their night. This person had an idea of the stuff that they were missing, and it kind of made them happy that they were out of it. And that kept them up all night. They lost track of the time. They kind of, when they were going through stuff, like I said, they were kind of going through stuff and going, well, that stuff sucked, or that person sucked, or that thing that they did, that was kind of low, or that was, I thought that was out of character. Just kind of going through it, really, because there's really no influence anymore. There's no one really, I'm just kind of did I miss that? Or was somebody just really doing this to me? And then when they kind of realized what it was, and especially, like I said, how long it took, they were glad they were out of it. A bunch more cards just came out. Let's see what they are. We're going to take them based on what hit the table first. So it's funny because we have the Hierophant upside down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have the Hierophant upright. And then we have the King of Pentacles to finish this row. And then we have the Moon under the Lovers in reverse. We have the Hermit under this 10 of Cups. We have this 8 of Pentacles underneath this 9 of Pentacles. And I have the 5 of Cups in reverse underneath the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And then this 2 of Wands in reverse underneath the Hierophant in reverse. I'm sorry, that energy just seems a little bonkers, so I'm just trying to make sense of it right now. I mean, I kind of when I was looking at that Hierophant in reverse before with next to that Wheel of Fortune, because it was kind of like everything I just said about they were happy that they weren't in it anymore. But to a certain extent, okay. Okay. I'm trying to figure out, it's almost like I'm getting two different stories. It's almost like they wondered if they were in a third party or if they knew they were in a third party. it could be both. They're both just the only two extra cards that came out, and they're both from the same like deck, and I want to say that it's that in that way this group of people is split between people who wondered if they were in a third party or people who knew that they were in a third party, and that situation is right here, because here even if they were married, it's almost like their Four of Wands is upside down. I mean, their Four of Wands didn't even need to really be upside down, because their Wheel of Fortune is upside down and their Lovers is upside down. But like I said, you know, they, as kind of knowing what they wanted, because obviously this Happy card was kind of like, you know, oh my God, you know, I want this, and that was that, and that's gone. So cool, you know. It's almost kind of like with this Two of Wands and this Hierophant upside down, like I kind of got this as like, that's not the relationship that God wants me to be in. But I don't even think this is necessarily us thinking about God per se. I think we just kind of knew that it wasn't right. Like, we knew that the choice that we made wasn't right for whatever reason. I'm sure we were hanging on to that Lovers upside down, but I think it was other stuff too. I think that we knew that it wasn't just the Lovers that was upside down, because we have this 10 of Cups and this 9 of Pentacles, which makes me feel like their 10 of Cups and their 9 of Pentacles was upside down too. And I think they figured that out with this Hermit card next to the Moon. The Moon, I think, was illuminating the fact that the Lovers wasn't there. And I think the Hermit was what was illuminating, because again, you know, they spent time by themselves, but they also spent time awake at night, you know, illuminating the fact that their 10 of Cups wasn't there. And then when they started thinking about all the stuff that they had put work into, like the thing that they were like working towards, whether or not it wasn't marriage, they realized that the other person wasn't really working towards that. Like, the person just wasn't worth working towards, and the other person wasn't working towards that. Did I say worth working towards? Hopefully. That was kind of hard. But yeah, they weren't worth working towards, and they weren't working towards what we were working at. And so the work that we were putting in for the two of us didn't matter that much. Like I said, we did not get what we wanted. But I think at this point, when we finally realized it, when we were alone, we weren't sad about it, because it was already over and we already had realized what we wanted, and we knew we weren't getting it. And that's what I'm saying over here. We knew it wasn't good. We knew the choice that we made wasn't good. We knew we wanted this. I feel like this is marriage and marriage, but then I feel like this is also God. But again, like I say, it's not necessarily that we're, God-fearing per se, and we're saying, oh, God wants us to marry a different kind of person. It's more of like, this is more natural. The idea that I'm thinking of over here is more natural than what I had. It just feels better. It's just more natural, right? And then we have this King of Pentacles and this Magician card. And like I said, you know, some of us might have wondered if we were in a third party, and then some of us might have been in a third party. And I'm actually holding the cards that we're going to be using next. So let me go ahead and do that. Get this third row and figure out exactly what's going on. So I feel like this person is a little bit bitter, because I feel like they put a lot into this, and they feel like they didn't get a lot back. And even if the person, if they weren't in a third party and the other person didn't cheat, the fact that they feel like they might have is kind of irritating them, because they were loyal. They were providing. They just wanted, you know, love and passion. They wanted their mate to be fun, but like worth something in the way of their companionship. And turning towards another, you know, even like I said, even if this person doesn't know whether or not the other person turned towards another, turning towards another, you know, the idea of it is a violation. Look, this King of Pentacles and this Queen of Pentacles over here on this, you know, somebody that they were with wouldn't do that. It's not 100% what I was going to say, but it's more of kind of like, yeah, the minute you're turning towards another, you're not putting the work in towards me. It's kind of like how I was thinking about it. At that point, the betrayal is, you know, it's there. Those swords are there. So it's one thing to not be in love or to not love me, let's call it properly, the way I wanted to be loved. Maybe we didn't discuss it in the beginning. Maybe we did and you're just not doing it and it doesn't really matter. It's one thing to not express your love or not reciprocate my love, but then it's another thing to put a sword in my back, right? Those two acts come from different types of people. It's funny too, because my Ten of Cups in reverse just came up upside down here. And then the Queen of Swords came out when I said that, on top of this Wheel of Fortune in reverse and this Five of Cups in reverse. And then I have the King of Swords. And I feel like when the Queen of Swords, when people do that, it does turn us into the King of Swords. When, like I said, we would have rather been the King of Pentacles with somebody who had, like, you know, we're able to express our cups. Like, we were, the lovers are, like, I think in that card, standing in water. Like, yeah, the money's there, but that's not what we're concerned with. We're concerned with putting the magic back in our relationship, into our marriage, into our ideas of what life is like. Those Ten of Cups and that Nine of Pentacles situation, we know we have to start with somebody who's worthwhile. I have this Six of Pentacles here on top of this, somebody we want to give to, somebody who's worth giving to. And then I have this Four of Swords in reverse on top of the King of Pentacles and the Magician. I think to a certain extent, we didn't have to heal from this very much because either A, it didn't hurt us as much as it should have. Once things started to go funky, we sort of started to become detached, or it's a possibility that the way it was done turned us off completely to begin with, to the point where we didn't worry about it. I got this Ten of Wands in reverse as an extra card, and then I have this Page of Pentacles in reverse as an extra card. Something just flipped over and flipped over again, and it turned into the Page of Wands upright. See, this is how I feel like this person feels. But we have the King of Wands in reverse. We have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have the Seven of Cups. Five of Swords in reverse, Ace of Cups in reverse, Justice in reverse. No, yeah, Justice is in reverse.